You read the title. You know what this is.
Romantic comedy. Rom-com.
In spring of 2023, my friend Kylie and I had an idea for a YouTube video to watch and rank the 75 highest grossing rom-coms of all time.
Fun idea, but there were some logistical difficulties to consider.
Firstly, Kylie lives in Chicago and I live in New York, so we'd have to watch them independently.
Secondly, 75 movies is a ton of movies. Even if we watched one movie a week, it would take us a year and a half to get through them all. How would we keep track of everything?
Our solution to these problems was our podcast, the GoldLaupers Podcast. If this is your first episode of the GoldLaupers Podcast, we're currently working our way through the top 75 highest grossing rom-coms by US domestic box office, and when we're done, we're going to rank them from worst to best. When it came to choosing which movies to watch, the romantic comedy subgenre is really broad, and we weren't sure where to draw the line, so we used Box Office Mojo and their categorization of rom-com to create the list.
Their list was sorted by US domestic box office returns, so international rom-coms will be a project for another time.
Now that the podcast is over and we've watched all 75 rom-coms, we're here to tell you what we thought of them.
We'll be going from worst to best, and the movies will be sorted into 5 distinct categories: awful,
Bad,
mid,
good,
and great.
and we'll be checking in on you in between each category to see how you're doing.
Since we have 75 movies to discuss, we're only going to say a little bit about each one.
If you want to hear more in-depth thoughts on a particular movie, you can refer to that movie's dedicated podcast episode. The GoldLaupers Podcast can be found wherever podcasts are sold.
Before we get started, let's talk about how we actually built the ranking.
We created a list of criteria and gave each movie a final grade out of 100. The idea being that no two movies would have the same score.
So by the end of 75 movies, we wouldn't have to think back to the first movie. The ranking would have built itself.
The placement of these movies in the ranking isn't exact. We watched them over the span of a year and a half, so our thoughts and opinions evolved as time went on.
For most of the list, there's probably a margin of error of a couple spots up or down based on what kind of mood we were in when we watched the movie and recorded the episode.
And without further ado, a definitive,
objective,
and completely scientifically accurate ranking of the 75 highest grossing rom-coms of all time.
Might.
Ed, you can kiss my natural black ass.
At number 75 is Bringing Down the House. Centering around a divorced lawyer played by Steve Martin who meets an escaped convict in a chat room played by Queen Latifah, this movie was awful in just about every way. It was the kind of movie where, upon finishing it, we felt like everybody involved deserved to be in jail. On top of being both incredibly sexist and incredibly racist, it was also a terrible rom-com. It truly earned last place, scoring a paltry 4 out of 100.
Anybody here dig what I'm saying?
Something Arab women.
At number 74 is Sex and the City 2, starring Sarah Jessica Parker. After attending a gay wedding, Carrie feels like married life has gotten boring, so she and the girls take a trip to Abu Dhabi.
Hey, what's the holdup? We got a lot of Abu Dhabi to do.
All you need to know about the quality of this movie is that they were refused filming rights in the United Arab Emirates, so they filmed in Morocco and passed it off as Abu Dhabi. And there's a gay wedding.
Gay wedding?
Could this wedding get any gayer?
Did we mention it's a gay wedding?
Anytime there's this much gay energy in one room, Liza manifests.
Oh, that's marvelous.
9 out of 100.
But now that I know it was only that one time, was the pain worth it? I don't know.
I don't know.
Our stock is down another quarter point this morning.
At number 73 is The Secret of My Success. Michael J. Fox and Helen Slater star in this 1987 film that, according to Roger Ebert, felt, quote, as if the screenplay had been in a drawer since the 1950s and nobody bothered to update it, unquote. We agree with Roger. This film was dated, boring, and made no damn sense.
Baby, you ain't been hanging out in the mailroom.
Despite it being one of the later movies we watched, we forgot everything about it almost instantly. We gave it a 12 out of 100.
Kill Toledo.
While I go sit my balls on some ice.
At number 72 is Fool's Gold, starring Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey. Recently divorced, Finn and Tess venture out to sea to find lost treasure, and along the way, they rekindle their romance. This movie was a lot of mind-numbing exposition with very little payoff and characters that are hard to care about, whether it's romantic leads or Donald Sutherland and his daughter.
My mother was a 24-year-old blackjack dealer from Nebraska.
And honestly, it's a wonder how they got Donald Sutherland on board. 15 out of 100.
And cupcakes.
Are there any prostitutes?
No.
For instance, I like 'em real young.
At number 71 is Shallow Hal. Jack Black stars as Hal, who falls in love with 300-pound Jill, played by Gwyneth Paltrow in a fat suit, after being hypnotized into only being able to see someone's inner beauty.
Devils, come out! What the hell are you doing, banana hands?
It was clear this movie was trying to make some kind of point, but everything about it fell flat, and it ended up feeling misguided and fat-phobic. This one scored a 16 out of 100. Also, Jason Alexander has a tail, and it wags.
I'm a pretty important guy. My field.
At number 70 is What Happens in Vegas, starring Cameron Diaz and Ashton Kutcher. After getting blackout drunk, married, and winning the lottery, polar opposites Joy and Jack are forced to get along for 6 months if they want to keep half their lottery winnings in a divorce. Does that sound exhausting and contrived? That's because it was. It was predictable, and their opposing personalities made for a boring central conflict.
Her candles smell awesome!
The only thing that saved this movie was a romantic ending that showed Cameron Diaz and Ashton Kutcher could have had good chemistry. And this line.
You know, gay people aren't destroying the sanctity of marriage, you people are.
20 out of 100.
Can I feel your bosoms before I go?
Number 69 is There's Something About Mary. Cameron Diaz stars as the titular Mary, a beautiful orthopedic surgeon who makes basically any man she meets fall in love with her.
I love her, man!
This one had some genuinely funny moments, but it was so sexist, problematic, and gross that it was hard to get through. This movie made us want to bend our stillers into our pant zippers, and if you don't know what that means, we pray you'll never find out.
Oh!
We gave it a 22 out of 100.
You poisonous bitch!
At number 68 is The Proposal, starring Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds. When Big Boss Margaret's threatened with deportation, she forces her employee Andrew to marry her, and in exchange, she'll make him an editor at their company.
Like it or not, your wagon is hitched to mine.
They travel to Andrew's home in Alaska to prove their love, and then accidentally fall in love for real. This movie attempted rom and com, but it was mostly offensive and boring, and the premise alone makes the romance particularly unappealing. They do give us something to root for, and there are romantic, heartfelt moments, but then I remember this was all because Margaret held a promotion over Andrew's head.
I'm not gonna marry you.
Sure you are. Because if you don't marry me, your dreams of touching the lives of millions with the written word are dead.
Also, Betty White was a Native American? 24 out of 100.
Maybe you two go take poop together.
At number 67 is Norbit.
Norbit. Eddie
Murphy stars as both Norbit and Norbit's insane ex-wife Rasputia as Norbit attempts to rekindle with his childhood love, Kate. This was another one with some seriously funny bits and even a halfway decent romance, but it was weighed down by being one of the most problematic movies on the whole list.
Clap. On a rock one. Can't give these away.
We have a couple much better Eddie Murphy movies to talk about later. Norbit scored a 26 out of 100.
I gotta warn you, Lizak. I studied karate with a Chinese grandmaster.
At number 66 is Just Married, starring Brittany Murphy and Ashton Kutcher. Sarah and Tom go on a honeymoon in Europe and fight so much that they realize their marriage might be a mistake.
Call first, because I might be having sex with a complete stranger!
Every sticky situation they get into is Tom's fault, but the movie tries to place the blame on both of them, and since they make up after every fight, it feels like there are no real consequences. Largely, this movie was so bad it made us feel absolutely nothing. Not hate, not anger, nothing.
Son of a bitch!
29 out of 100.
Oh, you can call me Pussy now.
Thank you, pussy.
Oh, that no, it's just dirty. I had to tie it up.
At number 65 is Bird on a Wire. This was a 1990 Mel Gibson and Goldie Hawn joint that had no business being on this rom-com list. Despite being more of an action movie than a rom-com, it still managed to feel both boring and disjointed.
Without a record of previous employment, then all we can do is wait and see.
We're talking about a movie where the climactic action scene took place in a zoo. The movie itself was probably just below average, but as a rom-com, this scored a 30 out of 100.
I have 2,000 girls in this school, and I could bum monkeys with every one of them.
At number 64 is She's All That, starring Rachel Lee Cook and Freddie Prinze Jr. Popular high schooler Zach makes a bet that he can turn any girl into prom queen by prom, and his friends pick loser art student Lainey. The biggest issue with this movie was sexualizing high school characters. This did not need to be set in a high school. It was very cliche in all the wrong ways, but the late 90s kind of campy charm sets it above a lot of the other movies, and the dad character in particular was funny.
Who are you people?
31 out of 100. Hey, sorry to just drop back in like this.
It's us, the people making the video.
We know those movies are a lot. This is a great time to pause the video, go touch some grass, or get a snack.
It's no stress. We'll be here when you get back.
Those are the movies that we would consider to be awful. If you haven't seen them, don't. There are better ways to spend your time.
We're now getting into the movies that are, at the very least, watchable. While they're still bad, they might have a sincere moment or two, a solid performance, or some other thing that makes us not want to cast them into the fiery pits of Mordor.
Cast it into the fire!
And he was like, look outside your door. Oh.
Number 63 is Valentine's Day, which follows a large ensemble cast as they navigate the titular holiday. Most of the performances were weak, and the story didn't make a whole lot of sense, but there was a singular gay reveal that was so much fun that it single-handedly lifted this movie out of the basement.
No, I'm not retiring. I'm gay, and I'm gonna play.
This is one of the lowest ranked movies on the list that we'd consider to be some degree of watchable, scoring a 32 out of 100.
Drive better.
What girl wouldn't want to be with you?
A shocking number, actually.
At number 62 is Failure to Launch, starring Sarah Jessica Parker and Matthew McConaughey. Tripp's parents want him out of the house, so they hire Paula to pretend to date him and boost his confidence so he'll move out. Outside of the premise itself, the movie is pretty forgettable. However, Paula's best friend, Kit, has a side plot about trying to kill a bird, and also former NFL star Terry Bradshaw is in it, and both of these things are pretty funny. 35 out of 100.
This is my naked room.
Well, why don't you just go to a gay bar?
Number 61 is Sweet Home Alabama, which follows New York fashion designer Melanie as she returns to her childhood home in Alabama to divorce her estranged husband that she might still have feelings for. This movie had some cute moments, but it also felt like it was on the wrong side of who should have won the Civil War. We gave it a 36 out of 100.
Hot damn!
Yes, my self-esteem is very low.
At number 60 is Bewitched, starring Nicole Kidman and Will Ferrell. An actor named Jack wants to remake the old TV show Bewitched, and a real witch named Isabel wants to have a normal life, but Jack casts her as the lead in the show. We never saw the original show, but this feels exactly like a movie that tries to capitalize on the nostalgia of a beloved TV show and fails spectacularly. There's some wacky moments, and the confession at the end is cute, but the movie does not stand on its own. Like, we assume you need to have seen and liked the original show to even get this movie. 37 out of 100.
This is awesome. You're on TV.
Well, I would love to sell you some weed, Jeremy, but I'm at my fucking job right now.
At number 59 is Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Jason Segel stars as Peter, who travels to Hawaii to get over his ex-girlfriend Sarah, who then turns out to be staying at the very same resort as him with her new boyfriend Aldous.
I've lost a shoe. I've seen it anywhere. It's like this one, but, obviously it's the opposite one.
This was another one that was 20 minutes too long and incredibly boring, but solid performances and a few fun moments got it to a score of 37.5 out of 100. But be warned that Jason Segel's penis is in this movie at least twice. It's hard to tell because we kept getting Jason Segel's penis mixed up with Russell Brand.
13th step right there. Back to drinking.
At number 58 is Just Go With It, starring Jennifer Aniston and Adam Sandler. Plastic surgeon Danny has his assistant Catherine pretend to be his ex-wife so he can get with a young woman named Palmer, and they all end up on vacation together in Hawaii. Not the most offensive movie on the list, but definitely sexist, a little problematic, and the absolute worst of our Adam Sandler movies. It was at least a little funny, and the premise of everything being based on a lie was not as insulting as it could have been. 38 out of 100.
Arnie loves you! You penis head.
At number 57 is 9 Months. Julianne Moore and Hugh Grant star as a couple that find out they're pregnant when they weren't planning to be. This one had some pretty fun bits, like Jeff Goldblum playing a mediocre painter who looks like Hot Squidward, and Robin Williams playing an Eastern European Obi-Jin.
Giddy up.
Apart from that, though, this movie was equal parts predictable and bizarre. We gave it a 39 out of 100.
Come on, I'll wipe the floor with you.
Some people recognize Father's Day as a holiday. I don't.
At number 56 is The Breakup, starring Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn. Art dealer Brooke and tour bus driver Gary break up and try to drive each other out of their shared apartment.
Gary, it is 2 o'clock in the morning.
A pretty boring movie. A lot of petty fights, but a surprising sense of maturity. The characters grow, and true to its word, they stay broken up. Unfortunately, it wasn't very funny or romantic. 40 out of 100.
So the story goes!
We fall in love with your tits and your ass.
At number 55 is The Ugly Truth. Katherine Heigl and Gerard Butler star as warring television personalities with polar opposite views about love and romance who eventually fall in love. This was an insane movie that barely made any sense, but when it was making sense, it managed to be weirdly forward-thinking and had, at the very least, a believable romance. We gave it a 41 out of 100.
I am a hippopotamus, and there is nothing I can do about it.
At number 54 is Along Came Polly, starring Jennifer Aniston and Ben Stiller. After a bad breakup, uptight, anxious Ruben runs into free-spirited Polly, an old friend from school, and they begin to date. Ben Stiller takes a biblical dump in the ultimate gross-out moment of all time. It felt a bit disjointed, and Polly isn't a fleshed-out character at all, more of a manic pixie dream girl than anything. But the movie was sneakily funny, especially with its side characters, and the leads had pretty good chemistry. Overall, another pretty boring one. 43 out of 100.
All right, good things.
What the hell are you looking at, Sister Christian? Just a couple of admitted whores.
At number 53 is Easy A. Emma Stone stars as Olive Pendergast, a high schooler who lies about losing her virginity, and the situation quickly spirals out of control.
Everybody thinks I'm a whore.
This was a capably directed movie with a really solid cast, but the plot was so outlandish and the situations were so insane that none of it was believable for even a moment. A few subtle changes could have made this a decent movie, but as it was, we scored it a 45 out of 100.
And I didn't like his remark about Tea Party Republicans. They are decent people trying to take back the country. They are not crypto-fascist airhead zombies. Did you hear him say that?
Number 52 is Midnight in Paris, starring Rachel McAdams and Owen Wilson. On vacation in Paris with his fiancée Inez, Gil ends up traveling back in time every night to talk to various historical figures.
Hemingway.
Hemingway?
A truly gorgeous, well-made movie, but not quite a rom-com. There were some fun things going on, but there were too many things going on, and none of them were empowering for women.
Get over it, Gil.
46 out of 100.
Yeah. I'll toast when I see fit. Miss Mo, Max Mo, any other kind of Mo.
Number 51 is The Wedding Planner. Jennifer Lopez stars as wedding planner Mary, who goes on an amazing date with a pediatrician named Steve. The only problem is that Steve turns out to be the groom in the next wedding she's planning. This one actually had a pretty nice romance at the core, but it wasn't very funny, and there were some bits and characters that were incredibly tedious.
The last time I see you, you were scrawny and ugly, and your head was too big for your body.
What the fuck you say?
We landed on a 47 out of 100.
No.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, hell, I object too.
There was something cooking in the kitchen last night other than pancakes.
Number 50 is Something's Gotta Give, starring Diane Keaton and Jack Nicholson. Old man Harry, his young girlfriend Marin, and her mom Erica all end up at their vacation house. But when Harry has a heart attack and Marin has to leave, Erica and Harry have a lot of alone time together. It was very exciting to have a rom-com surrounding an older couple, and there were some romantic, tense, emotional moments, but there were a lot of weird power dynamics and age dynamics that dragged it way down.
How long will it take you to change?
Not just from Harry and Marin, but also from Erica and a young doctor who has a crush on her.
Oh, come on, you must beat them away with a stick.
You're kidding.
Just weird. 48 out of 100.
Bathing is a lonely business.
Except for fish.
I beg your pardon?
Number 49 is Arthur. Dudley Moore plays a spoiled New York aristocrat named Arthur who falls in love with a working-class woman from Queens played by Liza Minnelli.
That's it. I want a cop. Somebody give me a cop.
This was far and away the oldest movie on the list, and the lack of traditional rom-com beats made it feel pretty out of place. It was a fairly harmless movie, but nothing special. We gave it a 49 out of 100.
I've taken the liberty of anticipating your condition, and I have brought you orange juice, coffee, and aspirins.
The guy could be a crackhead, a transvestite, a flasher, a junkie, a chainsaw murderer, or someone really sick.
Number 48 is Sleepless in Seattle, starring Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks. Widowed architect Sam's son calls into a radio show to get Sam a date. Across the country, reporter Annie hears this and writes to Sam, asking him to meet her at the Empire State Building. The most middle movie we've ever seen. I was higher on this one than Ethan. I thought it was pretty cute. The biggest gripe is that the leads don't meet until the last 2 minutes of the movie, though, and it's also forgettable and tedious.
I got married because Betsy said we had to break up or get married, so we got married.
Luckily, it's partially saved by some grounded characters and some genuine emotional scenes. 50 out of 100.
I'd like a little black baby.
Don't you already have a little black baby?
Can you dig it?
Number 47 is The Family Stone, a Christmas movie featuring an ensemble cast that's more of a family drama than a true rom-com. This one is at its strongest when it's centering on the family and at its weakest when it's centering on the romance. It had a couple genuinely beautiful moments, but some weak performances in the leads and several story issues landed this one at a 50.5 out of 100. Can somebody please tell me what Luke Wilson and Dermot Mulroney were doing in this movie? God Dermot.
Mayday, mayday.
Attention Kmart shoppers! Snow shovels are on sale for
$12.99.
Put that down.
Number 46 is 6 Days, 7 Nights, starring Anne Heche and Harrison Ford. While on vacation, Robin and her pilot Quinn crash land on an island.
Where?
Somewhere between Makatea and Tahiti. That's the best I can do for you.
A very horny movie. Like Harrison Ford grabs a snake out of Anne Heche's shorts horny. Not very comedic, but it does eventually settle into its romance. The ending of them flying back was particularly nice, though the movie's overall tone was all over the place, moving too fast from silly to serious and back again. 51 out of 100.
When she answered the door with on.
I may do a lot of stupid shit, but I know I'm a lot closer to finding someone than you are.
Number 45 is He's Just Not That Into You. Another movie with an ensemble cast that follows 9 different people in their romantic endeavors. This was a pretty cute movie with some solid performances, but it had a little too much going on and was dispensing a good deal of fortune cookie wisdom.
If a guy is treating you like he doesn't give a shit, he genuinely doesn't give a shit.
Clichés can only take a movie so far. We gave it a 52 out of 100.
He MySpaced me.
Ouch.
Oh.
Don't white people start off with a 500 credit score?
550. 475 if you're a mulatto.
Number 44 is Think Like a Man, starring an ensemble cast. This movie follows the dating lives of various people after the release of Steve Harvey's book, Think Like a Man, shakes up the dating game. You'd be surprised that a movie based on a Steve Harvey book would be this high on the list, but it was pretty fun, especially since they kind of make fun of the book.
Look, Mama's Boys, Chapter 7. That's you.
It was a well-balanced, well-paced movie that presented some nuanced thoughts about the different roles we play in relationships, particularly related to gender. It was just dragged down with the constant references to the book, the homophobic jokes, and Kevin Hart.
God damn, look how small your skirt is.
53 out of 100.
Okay, Big Daddy.
My God, is your mind always on the pepperoni?
At number 43 is Made in Manhattan. Jennifer Lopez stars as a hotel housekeeper who falls in love with a politician played by Ralph Fiennes. The biggest issues with this one were the performances. J-Lo was good but not great, and Fiennes is a wonderful actor but underwhelms as a romantic lead. Despite these issues, it had a believable romance, a decently diverse cast, and was pretty easy to watch. We gave it a 54 out of 100.
They look like little fat, short guys with tuxedos.
Now we're starting to get somewhere.
How you doing?
Have you eaten?
Staying hydrated?
We know the bad movies are a slog, but that's over now.
The following movies aren't exactly bad, but they're not exactly good either.
These are the kind of rom-coms that are decent, but definitely still have some Matt Damon my balls moments.
My balls are frozen.
Marriage is like an unfunny, tense version of Everybody Loves Raymond.
Number 42 is Knocked Up, starring Katherine Heigl and Seth Rogen. After a one-night stand with stoner Ben, journalist Allison becomes pregnant, wants to keep the baby, and wants Ben to be the father for that baby.
You know, I know my job is to just support you in whatever it is you want to do, and I'm in, you know, so I'm on board. Yay!
Wow. This is the movie we keep referring back to. It is the movie that truly splits this list in half, because largely, it was a deeply offensive stoner movie, but God did it stick the landing. For all of its unfunny jokes, it had a mature conversation about what it means to step up and be a parent, and the birth at the end is pretty moving. Still, it is a Seth Rogen stoner movie. 55 out of 100.
Okay? You're a doorman. 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 Doorman!
You look confused.
Well, I thought they declared peace in the Middle East.
Number 41 is Clueless. Adapted from Jane Austen's Emma, Clueless follows a wealthy Los Angeles high schooler, Cher, as she endeavors to improve the world around her and find love. A fun and nostalgic look at 90s culture, the main thing holding this movie back from being great is the fact that Cher ends up falling in love with her weirdly older ex-stepbrother. Subtle changes could have made big improvements here, so we ended up giving it a 55.5 out of 100.
I don't rely on mirrors, so I always take Polaroids.
All right, she up and decides she's going to nickname my...
Penis.
Yeah. Princess Sophia.
Number 40 is How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, starring Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey. Journalist Andy makes a bet that she can get a guy to break up with her in 10 days, while Ben makes a bet that he can get any woman to fall in love with him in 10 days. This movie made us cringe a bit with how annoying the characters were and the way they tried to annoy each other, and even though the premise was weak, they committed to the bit, and as a result, we got a couple of really decent scenes. This movie felt like the poster child for the modern rom-com. 56 out of 100.
All right, what do you want, a medal or something? Do you want like a little trinket saying you identified a homosexual?
Number 39 is The Mexican. Brad Pitt and Julia Roberts star as a small-time criminal and his girlfriend as Pitt's character is sent to retrieve an antique Mexican pistol to pay off a debt. The standout in this movie was a stellar supporting performance by James Gandolfini as the unexpectedly gay hitman tasked with killing Brad Pitt. This was another one that wasn't much of a rom-com, but it sure was fun. We gave it a 57 out of 100.
No, I love black people. I prefer black people.
Number 38 is Trainwreck, starring Amy Schumer, Bill Hader, and up-and-coming actor LeBron James.
Did I leave my sunglasses here?
Journalist Amy writes an article about sports doctor Aaron and starts to fall in love with him, despite her promiscuous ways. This was surprisingly emotional and heartfelt, and somehow, despite starring Amy Schumer and Bill Hader, the rom was the best part. They had great chemistry, and their comm actually felt flat and forced. It was just a generally enjoyable story interrupted by long, unfunny bits. 58 out of 100.
Yeah, it's going real good.
What are you afraid of, Buckwalter? Do you think we're gonna steal the mermaid?
At number 37 is Splash. Tom Hanks stars as Alan, who falls in love with a woman played by Daryl Hannah, who turns out to be a mermaid. One of the older movies on the list, it didn't fit super neatly into the rom-com vein and definitely showed its age in places.
My daughter, on the other hand, is lucky. She's anorexic.
Tom Hanks and Daryl Hannah were a joy to watch, though, and Splash did itself a lot of favors by leaning into the whimsy and not taking itself too seriously. We gave it a 58.5 out of 100.
Up yours, Gomer. I'm waiting for a fare.
I just want you to know, no matter what you do, you're gonna die, just like everybody else.
Number 36 is Moonstruck, starring Cher and Nick Cage. Recently engaged Loretta has to invite her fiancé's brother Ronnie to the wedding, but ends up falling for him. Another horny movie, a very confusing movie.
I don't know what you mean. I know you don't. That's the point. I'll say no more. You haven't said anything. And that's what I'm saying.
We didn't know whether we loved or hated it, but ultimately decided we kinda liked it. The rom and the com don't really mesh well, it looked gorgeous, Cher carried the movie on her back. Also, did you know...
I lost my hand! I lost my bride! Johnny has his hand! Johnny has his bride! You want me to take my heartbreak, put it away and forget?
59 out of 100.
You give those dogs another piece of my food, I'm gonna kick you till you're dead.
That's their story. Good times, noodle salad.
Number 35 is As Good as It Gets. Jack Nicholson stars as Melvin, an author with OCD who forms a bond with a waitress at his local diner named Carol, played by Helen Hunt. While Jack Nicholson isn't a particularly good romantic lead, this movie had a lot of heart, some really nice gay positivity, and a surprising amount to say. It was a head-scratcher on a rom-com list, but we landed on a 60 out of 100.
Carol the waitress, Simon the fag.
Glenn doesn't deserve her. All he cares about are possessions. Even women are possessions to him.
See, Billy Idol gets it. I don't know why she doesn't get it.
Number 34 is The Wedding Singer, starring Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler. Broken-hearted wedding singer Robbie helps Julia plan her wedding, but he ends up falling in love with her. This movie nearly lost us in the beginning with its mid-to-bad calm, but we were had in the second half with a really strong rom. And the very end on the airplane was a great mix of both. Stellar ending. 61 out of 100.
What's the Mile High Club?
I wasn't looking for it. It came to me like a bus in the street.
Number 33 is America's Sweethearts, a movie about how Hollywood actors and those close to them cope with high-profile breakups that's anchored by an absolutely stacked ensemble cast. There were definitely a lot of things about this one that didn't work, but a sharp script, great performances, and some truly hilarious moments made this a pretty good watch. We scored it a 62 out of 100.
Who could forget how they hit one out of the park in Requiem for an Outfielder?
Yo, Viv, babe, would you come down here? The Sphincter police won't let me through.
Number 32 is Pretty Woman, starring Julia Roberts and Richard Gere. Businessman Edward hires sex worker Vivian to accompany him to various events throughout the week, but they fall in love. This is the hardest movie on the list to explain because we did not like it. It was a shaky concept with kind of problematic execution. It was early on in our list, so we didn't quite know what we were doing yet, but if we had to justify it, Julia Roberts gave an outstanding performance, her and Richard Gere had great chemistry, and there are a couple of pretty iconic scenes. I'm looking at you, red dress. 63 out of 100.
Do you know who that guy is?
Dude, I don't even know who I am.
At number 31 is 50 First Dates. Adam Sandler stars as a Marine veterinarian in Hawaii who falls in love with an amnesiac named Lucy, played by Drew Barrymore. As with many Adam Sandler movies, it had its fair share of problematic bits and stupid jokes, but Sandler and Barrymore had surprisingly good chemistry. It's far from a masterpiece, but it's a more than watchable movie and a solid rom-com. We gave it a 64 out of 100.
Are you staring at me or her? Because you're starting to freak me out.
Well, I don't know Dee's first name. Maybe it's Greg.
Maybe it's Longfellow.
Maybe.
Number 30 is Mr. Deeds, starring Winona Ryder and Adam Sandler. Undercover reporter Babe Bennett investigates small-town man Longfellow Deeds after he inherits his deceased great-uncle's company and $40 billion. This one was charming, especially coming from an Adam Sandler movie.
So how's the elevator business treating you, Ruben?
Oh, it has its ups and downs.
Alright. Its Adam Sandler-isms did bring it down, and the rom was pretty weak, though this was to the movie's benefit as a movie overall. It didn't really need a ton of romance, but that does then make it a weaker rom-com. 65 out of 100.
You own the Jets, Deeds.
I do? Whoa. That sucks.
I feel like I just found out my favorite love song was written about a sandwich.
At number 29 is 27 Dresses. Katherine Heigl stars as Jane, 27 times a bridesmaid but never the bride, who falls in love with a cynical journalist named Kevin who no longer believes in marriage. It drags at times and isn't terribly nuanced, but it's exactly what you think of when you think rom-com. It's light and breezy with solid performances and some absolutely top-tier moments.
She's got electric boots, and low hair shoes, you know I read it in a magazine. Oh.
This one was a pleasant surprise, and we gave it a 66 out of 100.
Accept your ex for who she is.
A very big hoe.
Number 28 is It's Complicated, starring Meryl Streep and Alec Baldwin. Bakery owner Jane starts to have sex with her ex-husband, who she learns is actually married. It gets complicated when her architect falls in love with her. Meryl Streep slayed, first of all.
Yes, I prefer a lot of semen.
But this movie handled its love triangle decently well. Its characters are grounded and likable, it's earnest, and another better rom-com about older people. Also, an endearing performance from Steve Martin as the underdog. Maybe a little slow, but not a ton of complaints. 67 out of 100.
They grow up so freaking fast, don't they? I just hate it. I hate it.
Mother, I do not need a blind date, particularly not with some verbally incontinent spinster who smokes like a chimney, drinks like a fish, and dresses like her mother.
At number 27 is Bridget Jones's Diary. A loose Pride and Prejudice adaptation starring Renee Zellweger as the eponymous Bridget Jones as she's pursued by the womanizing Daniel Cleaver and the rough-around-the-edges Mark Darcy. While it doesn't really live up to the source material, Zellweger and the boys elevate the movie above its cliched script and dull plot. Kylie was definitely hotter on this one than I was, and we compromised on a 68 out of 100.
Can I get you anything, Mr. Trainer? Coffee, tea, me?
Number 26 is Working Girl, starring Melanie Griffith and Harrison Ford. Receptionist Tess pretends to have her boss's job and starts working with businessman Jack, who she eventually falls in love with. While a little forgettable and a bit more on the dramatic side, this was a thoroughly enjoyable movie. The actors had great chemistry, great romance, and we love a girl boss movie. 69 out of 100.
Pull over right here, please.
What are you doing? No.
Party, Bob.
Alright, the mid-movies are done. You're now free to unfasten your seatbelt and move about the cabin.
The seatbelt sign will come on again if we experience any unexpected rough air.
We're not supposed to say this, but we won't tell anyone if you go vape in the bathroom.
From here on out, it is rom-coms that we fully consider to be good.
A good rom-com isn't necessarily a good movie, but if it neatly fits into the genre, follows the formula, and is largely compelling throughout, we probably thought it was good.
This is the good stuff.
Jerry, you better yell! Show me the money!
Number 25 is Jerry Maguire. Tom Cruise stars as Jerry Maguire, a sports agent who ends up falling in love with a co-worker and single mother named Dorothy, played by Renee Zellweger.
You had me at hello.
More of a straight-ahead comedy drama than a rom-com, this was a genuinely good movie that felt out of place on our list, and I take full responsibility for that.
Jerry, do you know the human head weighs 8 pounds?
As a regular movie, you could probably argue that Jerry Maguire is iconic, but for the purposes of our rom-com list, we settled on a 70 out of 100.
Come to think of it, how did you get this number?
I don't know, probably the FBI.
Number 24 is The American President, starring Annette Bening and Michael Douglas. President of the United States, Andrew Shepard, has to balance running for a second term with his newfound love for environmental lobbyist Sidney Ellen Wade. This movie excelled when it was being comedic, and it excelled when it was being romantic, but because it's called The American President, it did get a little political in all the wrong ways.
And then what happened?
He had to go and attack Libya.
It's always something.
The rom-com of it all, though? Fun and charming. 70.5 out of 100.
Have a care with my name, you will wear it out.
Number 23 is Shakespeare in Love. William Shakespeare, played by Joseph Fiennes, falls in love with a merchant's daughter named Viola, played by Gwyneth Paltrow, who was dressing as a man so she could act in his plays. This movie is a treat from beginning to end, especially for fans of The Bard who will catch a lot of the inside jokes.
What's your name?
Joan Webster.
It's not perfect, but it has an awesome romance, a clever script, and an extremely anachronistic Ben Affleck performance.
What is the play, and what is my part?
We gave it a 71 out of 100.
No, this isn't a bag, sir.
Really?
This is so much more than a bag.
Number 22 is Love Actually, starring an ensemble cast. This movie follows the romantic lives of a bunch of people around the holidays. A very romantic, very funny movie. A good time all around, made us feel warm and fuzzy, but God, was it bad for women.
Why don't you come back and sleep at our place?
Yeah.
A lot of male fantasy plots, a lot of unnecessary sexualizing of women, a hint of fat phobia, and these problems, we think, are what keep it from being a top 10 movie. 71.5 out of 100.
Innocent girls are terrified of the one-eyed snake.
Number 21 is Runaway Bride. Julia Roberts and Richard Gere return to the screen as Maggie and Ike. Maggie is a bride who's left 3 men at the altar, and Ike is a New York columnist who wrote a misguided and unflattering story about her. It gets off to a rocky start, but manages to find its footing as it moves along. I didn't much care for this outlandish story, but Kylie managed to win me over a bit, and we landed on a 72 out of 100.
What's wrong? I can't have no cocoa? I don't look like I like cocoa?
Number 20 is Down to Earth, starring Regina King and Chris Rock. Struggling comedian Lance dies and is temporarily placed in the body of a millionaire.
Hey, I still look like me. You are you. I thought you said I was Wellington. You are Wellington. Well, thanks for clearing that up.
While in this body, he falls in love with a woman named Santi. We had a surprisingly good time with this movie. It knew what it was, made a couple of really good but quick points about the ethics of millionaires and love transcending beyond what's external, and you know, it was pretty goddamn funny.
Texan! 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 I'm black again!
Unconventional romance for sure, but in all the best ways. 72.5 out of 100.
There's something amok with this sponge cake.
Tofu.
Number 19 is 2 Weeks' Notice. Sandra Bullock stars as an environmental lawyer named Lucy who finds herself working for and clashing with a wealthy real estate developer played by Hugh Grant.
Didn't I memo you as to what constitutes an emergency?
Yes, large meteor, severe loss of blood, and what's the third one again?
Death!
Death.
It's a classic enemies to lovers story with a great script and great performances. A few aspects don't really work, but overall it's a really enjoyable watch. This one scored a 73 out of 100.
That speech was actually quite perfect, wasn't it? Yeah. I don't know what the hell you're still doing sitting here. And I don't even like him.
It sounded like George was gay. Actually, yes. Exactly.
Common misconception.
Number 18 is My Best Friend's Wedding, starring Julia Roberts and Dermot Mulroney. Jules and Michael have a deal that, if they're not married by the time they're 28, they'll marry each other. Right before this happens, Michael tells Jules he's engaged to a girl named Kimmy, but Jules realizes she's fallen for him. Something we really liked about this movie was its maturity. The concept might have been weak, but the execution makes up for it. The women are not catty, the other woman isn't a bitch, and Michael ends up with the other woman. The only real gripe is that the leading man isn't appealing, and we don't know why either of the women liked him.
My job's not good enough. I'm not good enough.
74 out of 100.
Underplay.
Got it.
Hey! I'm Jules' fiancé, George. Just in time for a quick pre-conjugal visit, if you catch my drift. I do.
Can I finger you?
No.
Okay.
Number 17 is No Strings Attached. Natalie Portman and Ashton Kutcher star as a doctor and production assistant, respectively, who enter into a friends with benefits relationship and eventually fall in love. This one had a really sharp script and good performances, aside Ashton Kutcher, who was blessedly average for once. The best part about No Strings Attached was the way it subverted gender roles, which made it feel unique compared to the wider list. We gave it a 75 out of 100.
Did you fuck Emma and then bring her a balloon?
What? I am Mr. Romance when I meet a woman, and then once I hit it, I lose interest, but that ain't my fault.
Number 16 is Boomerang, starring Halle Berry and Eddie Murphy. Ad executive Marcus falls for his boss, Jacqueline, but when she shows little interest beyond sex, he falls for another colleague, Angela. Another horny movie, and this one delivered on being sexy. A little long and a little disjointed, but the romance and comedy were very strong individually. Also, the cinematography and the costumes in particular looked really good. 75.5 out of 100.
Natural fear of black people, they're programmed, you know, like, watch. Ah! See how frightened he was? Just from a black man screaming now at him? He thought it was the end of the war.
Well, no, this is Upper West Side, man. We might as well tell them we're opening a crack house. They're gonna hate us.
Number 15 is You've Got Mail. Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan star as warring business people who unknowingly connect in an AOL chat room. It's about as late 90s as it gets, but Hanks and Ryan do a wonderful job. It's also clear that Nora Ephron's story comes from a real place of love for both New York and the world of literature. This one's a classic. We gave it a 76 out of 100. We just want to return to a world before Jeff Bezos ruined books.
Because we're going to sell them cheap books and legal addictive stimulants.
Oh, I'm as gay as it gets.
Number 14 is What Women Want, starring Helen Hunt and Mel Gibson. Nick wakes up with the ability to read women's thoughts, which redefines his relationships with the women around him.
You're welcome, my little sweet ass.
Another movie that was probably placed too high because we assumed the rom-coms would be bad, but a fun, quirky concept with a great performance from Helen Hunt. A couple laugh-out-loud lines, a mature conversation about age gaps and consent, and a really solid ending.
What kind of knight in shining armor would I be if the man I love needs rescuing and I just let him walk out my door?
Perhaps a little, or a lot, too focused on the man, though. 77 out of 100.
Be better than the Gap. Be better than the Gap.
Number 13 is Crazy Stupid Love. A newly divorced man played by Steve Carell is mentored by Ryan Gosling to learn how to get back into the dating world, and it turns out that Gosling has begun dating Steve Carell's daughter.
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
It has a great script, a phenomenal ensemble cast, and is one of the most cinematic movies on the entire list. The only thing holding this one back from true greatness is that a 17-year-old girl gives a 13-year-old boy her nudes. Yikes. This is a truly good movie, but that alone keeps it from being great. We gave it a 78 out of 100.
Did you sleep with him?
Jesus, God!
Yeah, probably.
What? You would?
Is this a bad time? No, I'm just flipping out a little bit. Oh, okay.
Number 12 is The Holiday, starring Kate Winslet and Cameron Diaz. Amanda and Iris swap houses during the holidays to get away from their recent heartbreaks, and they each meet a new man.
Oh, you're not Iris.
A very relaxed, patient movie with great romance, near Hallmark levels of warm and fuzzy, and some fun character arcs. Not super funny by any means, but we laughed a little bit. If only it were 10 minutes shorter. 80 out of 100.
Are you the kind of person who watches a ranking video and has a movie in your head where you're like, I swear to God, they better not say this movie until way later?
Hopefully now's the time we start talking about the movies that we better not have talked about earlier.
From this point on, it's bangers only.
These are the movies that epitomize the rom-com genre, and also happen to be great movies in their own right.
We'd rewatch just about any of them, anytime, and have a great time doing it. These are the best of the best.
That's his eager face.
It's official, man. They didn't convert me to my mental hygiene law admission status within 2/3 of the maximum length of my felony sentence. So I'm out. They had to let me go.
Tied for number 10 is Silver Linings Playbook. Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence star as a bipolar divorcee and a widow who enter a dance competition to overcome their struggles with mental health. This one leaned much heavier into drama than comedy, but it had thought-provoking conversations about mental health, excellent performances, and an all-time great ending.
For an average score of 5.0.
Sorry about that, guys.
They celebrated getting a 5, and we celebrated by giving this an 84 out of 100.
If I had a choice, I would be with women to my dying day. But me likes cock, so I'm strictly dickily.
Tied for number 10 is Friends with Benefits, starring Mila Kunis and Justin Timberlake. Recruiter Jamie recruits art director Dylan to work for GQ, and they become friends with benefits, promising not to fall in love.
No relationship. No emotions. Just sex.
Whatever happens, we stay friends.
Swear.
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 One of our more recent rom-coms, but it holds its own among the classics. All of the characters, including the side ones, are very likable and easy to root for, the jokes were funny, and the romance was romantic enough.
Do you feel manly now?
I do.
Okay, put it in.
It showed its 2011-ness a little too much at times, and Mila Kunis's not like other girls shtick was a little tiring, but all in all a fun movie that's super rewatchable. 84 out of 100.
Oh, I could sing some Third Eye Blind.
Okay.
Closing time. One last call for alcohol.
That's not Third Eye Blind.
I'm pretty sure that's Third Eye Blind.
Nope.
I am a man who has never tied his own shoes before.
Wrong. You are a prince who has never tied his shoes.
Number 9 is Coming to America. Eddie Murphy stars as the prince of a fictional African country who moves to America to find a wife.
I want a woman that's going to arouse my intellect as well as my loins.
Where will you find such a woman?
In America.
It has more than a few bits that haven't aged well, but it's also uproariously funny with a surprising amount of heart. It's Eddie Murphy at the absolute top of his game, which makes it a joy to behold. Coming to America was a really pleasant surprise, and we scored it an 86 out of 100.
I tied my own shoes once. It is an overrated experience.
The good guys screw you, and the bad guys screw you.
And the rest of them don't know how to screw you, trust me. I've done the legwork.
Number 8 is Sex and the City, starring Sarah Jessica Parker. Following the events of the TV show, Carrie and Mr. Big are set to be married, but Mr. Big gets cold feet after hearing Miranda rail against marriage. Such a fun movie that earned its long runtime, and it was one that doesn't require knowledge of the show it's based on. It was cheesy and predictable in all the best ways, and it had a ton of heart, just a little bit problematic.
It's a 5-star resort.
It's Mexico.
Really felt like a girl's girl watching this one. 87 out of 100.
Ned! Ryerson!
Number 7 is Groundhog Day, which follows arrogant weatherman Phil Connors, played by Bill Murray, as he finds himself reliving the same day over and over again in the small town of Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, as they celebrate Groundhog Day. Not only is Groundhog Day a great rom-com, but it's an absolute pillar of American cinema and one of the most iconic movies ever made.
Ned?
There's something to like for just about everyone in this movie, and we gave it an 88 out of 100.
Winter, slumbering in the open air, wears on his smiling face a dream of spring. Ciao.
Ciao.
The man is the head, but the woman is the neck. And she can turn the head any way she wants.
Number 6 is My Big Fat Greek Wedding, starring Nia Vardalos and John Corbett. Tula is 30 years old and unmarried and feels the pressure from her family, but she falls in love with a non-Greek man and has to balance these two worlds.
If you hurt her, I'll kill you and make it look like an accident.
This is the highest grossing rom-com of all time for a reason. Our first movie on the list and a very, very strong start. It didn't quite follow the formula, especially concerning the romance. It definitely breezed through the falling in love part, but this was hardly a problem, and it was deeply funny. A very charming movie through and through. 90 out of 100.
So I go to the doctor, and he did the biopsy.
Peter Callahan is engaged to me. I object to this wedding.
Get in line.
Kicking off the top 5 is While You Were Sleeping. Sandra Bullock stars as Lucy, a Chicago transit worker who has a crush on a regular customer played by Peter Gallagher. When he has an accident and falls into a coma, Lucy is mistaken for his fiancé and has to play the part, despite slowly falling in love with his brother, played by Bill Pullman. While we were expecting to like this one, we had no idea that it would end up being one of our favorites.
Nice, sweater.
Thank you.
Sandra Bullock sparkles, she and Bill Pullman have excellent chemistry, and side characters like Joe Jr. provide some great laughs.
I got ice capades. I know a guy.
While You Were Sleeping is an undisputed classic. We gave it a 91 out of 100.
There's something wrong with this yogurt.
It's not yogurt. It's mayonnaise.
Number 4 is Notting Hill, starring Julia Roberts and Hugh Grant. Bookstore owner William spills orange juice on famous actress Anna, and they begin a relationship, but their very different lives clash. While Ethan was a little higher on this one than me, it was still a grounded movie with realistic characters and dialogue and nuanced performances.
I was cold when I came, what's up?
William's just turned down Anna's coat.
You daft prick.
It resembles a male fantasy story at times, but just about everything else was perfect. Engaging and quiet and pretty silly and very romantic. 93 out of 100.
I'm also just a girl. Standing in front of a boy. Asking him to love her.
This is more like me saying that I will literally break your shit off if you ever touch me again. Okay, Pumpkin?
Number 3 is Hitch. Will Smith stars as Alex Hitchens, a date doctor who can work miracles for others but struggles to connect with the beautiful gossip columnist he's trying to date named Sarah, played by Eva Mendes. Of all the movies on our list, Hitch possibly strikes the most perfect balance between romance and comedy.
Allegra.
Yes?
The comedy is top tier, the romance is charming, and it sets a perfect example for how best to utilize its side characters. It has a couple cheesy moments in there, but this is the third highest grossing rom-com of all time for a reason, and it earned its number 3 spot on our list. We gave it a 94 out of 100.
Don't ever do that again.
Rachel, these people aren't just rich, okay? They're crazy rich.
Number 2 is Crazy Rich Asians, starring Constance Wu and Henry Golding. Rachel travels to Singapore to meet her boyfriend's family, but she learns that they are extremely rich, and she has to navigate this new social environment. Truly a banger of a movie. A refreshing, personal, heartfelt story with a balanced plot, well-utilized characters that have dynamic relationships, and super strong performances all around. Brilliant storytelling, brilliant everything. 98 out of 100.
Do you want to stop by for some dinner?
Oh, no, I couldn't impose.
No, it's not a problem.
You know, I had some dinner plans.
Seriously, we've got a lot.
Yeah, I'll fucking come to dinner.
So how come you broke up with Sheldon?
How do you know we broke up?
Because if you didn't break up, you wouldn't be here with me. You'd be off with Sheldon the Wonder Schlong.
Number 1 is When Harry Met Sally. What can we possibly say about this movie that hasn't already been said? This is the movie chiefly responsible for the rom-com genre as we know it, and it's obvious why. Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan star as Harry and Sally, who meet after college and reconnect in New York 10 years later. They start as friends, but over a number of years, fights, and failed relationships with other partners, they eventually realize they're perfect for each other.
I'm difficult.
You're challenging,
I'm too structured. I'm completely closed off.
but in a good way.
Billy Crystal's dry sarcasm plays perfectly off Ryan's bubbly optimism, and both of their characters feel down to earth and true to life.
I came here tonight because when you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible.
As far as romantic comedies go, When Harry Met Sally is as close to perfect as it gets.
You see?
We gave it a 99 out of 100.
That is just like you, Harry. You say things like that and you make it impossible for me to hate you.
And that's our rom-com list.
Did you have fun?
If you're still here, we assume you had some fun.
It's time for our outro now.
Sorry.
Whatever. This video took us 2 years to make. Our social media is in the description, and When Harry Met Sally bangs.
We'll see you next time.
Cool.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's a cut.
That's
a cut.
wrap, baby.
We fucking did that shit.